Break the board sports. Click that like, hit subscribe. One of the best weeks of the year, Thanksgiving. Very thankful for all of you tuning in. Thankful for all the likes, the subscribes. Thankful for the comments, whether good or bad. And I love how we're sharing information back and forth. Break the board sports, where we help you become a better handicapper. Again, click that like, hit subscribe. Going to break down Packers Lions. And I've been hearing a lot of crazy stuff in the market. So just going to give you stuff the breakdown here. May throw in some stuff I like, but let's hop right into it. Got the Green Bay Packers at the Detroit Lions here on Thanksgiving. This starts off the triple header. Now, Lions are a 2.5 point favorite. 48.5 is the total. On that 48.5, 68% of the tickets, equaling 78% of the handle, going to the over. 32% of ticket count, equaling 22% of the handle, going to the under. Now, as far as that spread goes, 80% of ticket count and 88% of the handle is laying it with the Lions early. 20% of ticket count, 12% of the handle is taking the 2.5 with the Packers. Now, a lot of talk about this. Obviously, huge playoff implications. Really feel like if the Lions lose this one, they're in a world of trouble. I don't know if they can bounce back, being 2 games back of the Bears and about a game and a half back of the Packers, and losing both to the Packers. I'm not saying it would finish off the Lions, but man, they'd be in a really bad spot. Both these teams have been on a roller coaster. After the first 2 weeks of the season, all we heard was how Jordan Love was amazing. This is what Green Bay does. They have these phenomenal quarterbacks, and their defense is like the world's greatest. And their defense has been good with the addition of Micah Parsons. Can't deny that. Packers got a legit defense. But offensively, they have sputtered a lot. And I know, again, I always talk about this. Recency bias cannot play into your handicap, right? But I do think the line is right, 2.5, and it being at home for Detroit. And there's no better comp than the Lions beating the Giants by 7 last week and the Packers beating the Giants by 7 the week before, right? Really, these two teams been up and down. There have been a constant. Packers defense has been really good. Lions offense has been really good. And you could say, well, RJ, Jared Goff was seeing ghosts against the Philadelphia Eagles and blah, blah, blah. And I would say you're absolutely right. And they did the same thing to Jordan Love when they beat him 10-7. So again, just another comparable thing there, whether both their games with the Giants, both of the Lions and Packers games with the Eagles, shows you just how even these two teams are. Now, if you go from a head-to-head standpoint, again, earlier this year to start the season, week 1 in Green Bay, Packers got a 27-13, but obviously Micah was traded late. Lions didn't really have a chance to adjust to that. Also, the Lions rolled out 2 new coordinators, and I preface that the Lions a lot like Philly 2 years ago. Philly lost both their coordinators, Jonathan Gannon and Shane, the guy at the Colts. So they lost both of those, had a down year. The very next year was back in the Super Bowl and won it. I think that's a lot how the Lions are. They lose Aaron Glenn, right, and they lose Johnson. And so it's a whole different thing they got to wrap their head around. But that offense has continued to click. Now, the defense has been riddled with injuries, and Aiden Hutchinson is the only one that can get a pass rush. That's a problem for the Lions. They're going to need to be able to rush the quarterback and get after Jordan Love, and they got to stop the run. Now, over the last 10 matchups, Detroit has won 6 of the last 10. Again, typically, this game is one of those 10 points or less when these two teams match up. Again, Packers took the opening week 1 game. When you look at how we got here, the past 2 weeks, Packers 23-6 over JJ McCarthy and the Vikings. That speaks for itself. That to me is not a good win. They beat the Giants 27-20 before that. But I want to focus on the 2 games before. The 10-7 loss against Philly and the 13-16 loss to Carolina. Both of those coming at Lambeau, right? And so I got looking down through. Again, I'm not saying this Packers defense isn't good, but when you look at quality wins, they tied Dallas. They lost to Cleveland by 3. They lost to the Panthers by 3. They lost to Philly by 3. So the wins for the Packers have been a horrible Vikings team, a horrible Giants team, a horrible Washington team, A horrible Cincinnati team, a horrible Arizona team, which they were lucky to beat. Their only good win is at Pittsburgh 35-25. And if Jordan Love doesn't go nuts there in the second half, they lose that game. They were trailing. So I think there's a little bit of fugazi here with the Green Bay Packers. When I look over at the Lions, yes, they're behind the Packers in the standings. I get that. I understand it. But this is a team that beat Tampa Bay. They had to play Kansas City. Okay, they lost. They beat that same Browns team by 24. They beat the Ravens when they had Lamar, right? So they have had some better opponents. They beat the Bears by 31, right? That Bears team they're looking up at in the standings. And again, I know these two teams have changed since then, but I just look at that and I'm like, you know what? I think this Lions team is better. Call me crazy. I think they're a better football team. Now, listen, offensively, the Packers, 13th best offense in the National Football League, 23.9 points per game. Lions bring the second highest scoring offense in the NFL to the contest, 29.6 points per game. Now, we talked about that Green Bay defense, top five, so good. Fifth in points per game. They're only giving up 18.4 points per game this year. Detroit, they're no slouch, though. Even though they're not getting pressure, even though this secondary has been out, defensive coordinators did a phenomenal job. They're ranked 11th in points per game at 22.1. And so, again, all kinds of trends telling you why the line is the way it is. Now, the last 10 games for the Lions as a favorite, 7-3 straight up. Last 10 games as a dog for the Packers, 7-3 ATS. Last 10 games for the Lions as a home favorite, 6-4 straight up, but just 4-6 ATS. Last 10 games as a road dog for the Packers, 4-6 straight up. Both of those two teams, Packers as a road dog, Lions as a home favorite. Same exact record out of the last 10 from an over-under perspective. The over has cashed 7 of those last 10. Now, let's hop into some more trends here, help you with your handicap, see if we can help you pick a side here. Packers, 2-7 ATS the last 9 games that they've played in. They're 5-2 straight up their last 7. But here's the thing. Packers, we talked about them dropping games at home to the Panthers, to the Eagles. But ATS has not been good to them on the road. They're just 1-6 against the spread their last 7 road games. That's absolutely incredible when you think about it. Now, Detroit, 4-1 straight up their last 5 at home, 14-6 straight up their last 20 overall. Now, they haven't covered as well in the month of November, 1-4 ATS their last 5 in November, and 2-4 ATS their last 6 overall. But the Lions have really thrived against NFC opponents, and they've really thrived against the Packers. Let's get into it. Detroit, 14-4 straight up their last 18 games versus an NFC opponent. On top of that, the Lions are 6-2 against the spread their last 8 against the Packers, and 6-2 straight up in that same time frame. If you take it even further back, over the last 17 games, the Detroit Lions are 12-5 against the spread the last 17 meetings. I'll say that again. Lions, Packers head-to-head last 17 meetings. Lions are 12-5 ATS. Been absolutely phenomenal. Now, that 12-5 ATS for the Lions over the last 17, if you just go into the last 9, Detroit is 6-3 ATS the last 9. So this has all the makings of a Lions win. On top of it, the Lions 8-3 against the spread on Thanksgiving Day versus the Packers. Again, I know a couple years ago, Jordan Love went nuts up there. But listen, the Lions are the play here. The Lions absolutely have to win this football game. If they don't, they're going to be in a world of trouble, is Detroit. So when I look at this, Detroit Lions on the money line, $1 40 for a double unit. It gets home. Take the Lions. Break the Board Sports, where we help you become a better handicapper. God bless and happy handicapping.